Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and give this video a like.
Yep, we got a podcast as well down below in the description. I need you to go check that out and subscribe right now.
John, NFL Network reporter Mike Girardi covers the Patriots, that the asking price right now for Jimmy Garoppolo is a first-round pick. And, this is obviously in the context of what are the Patriots doing at quarterback. Asking price is a first-round pick. What do you think?
I think if I was another team, there's no way on God's green earth I could trade a first round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. I do understand with the 49ers, and this gets back to everything we've been talking about for weeks of building up Jimmy is good for his value because it makes other teams say when you go, we think he's like, we'll trade him, but we want to keep him. So you got to blow us away with a first round pick. And they go, you're crazy. And you go, okay, fine, we'll keep him. Right. I mean, that's part of the leverage is going, we want him to be the starter this fall. That's why you keep saying it. And ultimately you go, listen, you got to blow us away. We plan on whoever we draft to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo. We've gone on record saying that. So if you want him, it has to knock our socks off, which is a first round pick. And I think every single human being who's watched Jimmy Garoppolo, and when you factor in the injuries, I think it would be insanity to trade a first round pick for him. And one thing I had heard, which I think makes sense in this report, and it just makes sense when you look at the outlook of their incoming picks the next couple of years. I think what they really want to do is get a future first-round pick, which I've been told, and just you follow the league long enough, you know the way the chart works. A future first-round pick is not worth the same as pick 20 now, right? So a future first-round pick is discounted by 20 to 30%, right? Because there's a chance if that team, like if New England wins, that first round pick is not as their first round pick this year is 15. Well, if they make the playoffs and win a playoff game next year, that pick is 26, right? In a draft that's unknown. Like I know the players in this draft right now. That draft's not as good, so you have to discount it. I think that's what they're shooting for. Now, do I think that they would ultimately capitulate and give in with a second round? If I told you right now, would you trade Jimmy Garoppolo today if Bill said this? Bill calls, said, listen, guys, I love him. I texted him after all those wins. I talk to you guys a lot. It feels like you guys are my best friends in the football world, in the league. It's weird. It's like, how well do you guys know each other? But it always feels like Bill kind of gravitates towards Kyle. Maybe it was because Kyle's kicking his ass in the Super Bowl. He's up 28-3. Bill's like, what the hell's going on here? And said, I'll give you my second round pick next year. But he says this, but when today ends, I'm going to have dinner at 8:00. At 9:00, I'm going to bed and turning my phone off. If you guys have not called me back, that offer is not only off the table, I'm never asking you about Jimmy Garoppolo again. It's take it or leave it. I'd be like, we'll take it. Like I would say if you got a future second round pick, that's about as good as you can do.
I'd take
I
it
would
so
do that.
fast. Now,
Yeah.
ideally with them, you'd like their second round pick this year.
Yeah, it could be in the late 50s.
Because this year, they're picking in the middle of the second round. You'd love the Bears. You'd love a Bears future second, right? Because this year they're drafted 20. Who knows where would you think that second round pick will be? Where could it be in 2022? It could be much higher.
Well, they could be a disaster.
So, but I just don't see the demand that would create a first round pick here for Jimmy Garoppolo. One other thing Dan Patrick said.
Well, you agree he's just not worth a first round pick as a player.
No. He was worth more when they acquired him than he is
Way
today.
more. But remember, part of that was like they were throwing the Niners a bone.
Yes, I'm just saying he was worth more when they acquired him than he's worth right now. I don't see the demand. One other thing Dan Patrick said in that video when he was talking about the Niners and Mac Jones was that the value for Sam Darnold right now is a second round pick. So until the Jets trade out of number 2 and signal that they are keeping Sam Darnold as their quarterback, you got to think that's another player that is still potentially out there that a team who is trying to acquire a quarterback could be interested in. How many teams really right now? Okay, New England, that would forget if they like Jimmy or not, just teams that would be in the market for a starting quarterback after the draft because they didn't.
Carolina, I don't think realize Teddy's a backup. I think the Bears are in a predicament.
The Texans could be in a predicament. Good word.
The Texans easily could. Remember, Jimmy has a no trade. Jimmy has a no trade clause.
Jimmy has a no trade, but he would want to be the starting quarterback somewhere if they draft a quarterback.
Would you take Washington a little out of the mix as they sign Fitz?
I would take Washington out of the mix.
I guess they're going to give Daniel Jones another year, but Joe Judge was around Jimmy Garoppolo for years in New England. I would
think that's it.
Yeah.
I think
there's not many.
That's the whole thing. So I don't think there's really enough teams involved to drum up a first-round pick for him. Here's the other thing. Now, you gave us the scenario where Bill says it's an exploding offer, take it right now, or never lose my number. But the reality is, and you've said this.
But maybe I'll call you back in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, but come on. You've said this a lot, and I absolutely am on board with it. It doesn't make sense to trade Garoppolo. I shouldn't say it doesn't make sense. There are scenarios where it makes sense. You probably should not trade him until the draft. You got to make sure that you are able to maneuver and do what you want. And so the draft is in a month. What Jimmy's price is on April 2nd is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. Like, yeah, if you could get a first for him right now, you would trade him for a first. But until you're desperate, until you're in the situation where you have lost some leverage because you've got a guy on the roster now, and now you kind of want, the clock is ticking to get him off your team, it really doesn't matter what you're asking for until that time. So the price right now they're asking for a 1. You know, a lot of people are making jokes. I'm asking for $1 million. I'm asking for, yeah, we're all asking for a, but it does not matter because ultimately, what do they want more? A first-round pick for him, or to give the franchise keys to the guy that they draft? And if they want more to give the franchise keys to the guy that they draft, it means they might take a second. It means they might take a third. It means they might do a third, fourth pick swap. Who knows?
Well, I mean, here's what I would do right now also is, what if after the second day, Bill doesn't have a quarterback, because of the way BPA, sometimes plays out, you don't draft a corner, and you're like, hey, Stephon Gilmore, Jimmy Garoppolo straight up, right? He's going into his last year of his contract. We're not going to extend him.
He wants.
Yeah. I do something like that without hesitation.
He's coming off an injury.
So it's, yeah.
Feels like that would be another Bill doing you a solid, but.
Coming out major
quad
injury.
Asking.
Yeah, major quad injury.
Tell you
and
this.
he's gonna, if he is good, he's expensive immediately, right? Like if he's a Pro Bowler, it's a little Trent Williams situation again. Like he's used to making a lot. He's now not making a lot, but he's coming off an injury, so maybe you could slow play him. But immediately he's gonna want to raise / an extension. Like that. I think we always have to factor that in, unless you're like a premium Khalil Mack, Jalen Ramsey, young in your prime. He is over 30, been in the league a while. Bill. People always act like, oh, Bill never extends. No, Bill literally signed this guy. What Bill doesn't do is typically sign guys to that third contract, Logan Mankins, Richard Seymour. He'll take your prime years, which he did. I actually think that'd be a pretty Bill-like move. Like, I have a hard time seeing Bill give this guy another, 3 years, $60 million or something, Well, that's not really his style.
No, I mean, the only thing that I could see is, Bill wants to get back to winning. So what that this guy's not on my team in 2 years? He helps me right now, and that's worth it. So I think see that.
Bill's feeling pressure, guy. Robert Kraft, when they signed all the players, used the term, I've never had to use this much capital. We usually laugh at people in March. Robert Kraft said this week that we have not drafted very well the last couple of years. I think it's pretty clear in Kraft's comments. Listen, Bill's the greatest coach of our lifetime. I don't even think there's a close second. He's arguably the greatest coach in NFL history. But with Tom gone and Tom winning, I think it's fair to say that it just feels like there is some tension and pressure, and I do think Bill feels it just by the way that he is signing these players. So it wouldn't be crazy for him to get ultra aggressive knowing this, I'm kind of coming down the home stretch. Was the relationship here, is it crazy to think that the relationship is kind of fractured with Robert and him after Brady's success? Maybe things just get weird. You're old. Both those guys have a ton of money. They're huge egos. Maybe Bill just says, fuck it, I'll give you my 2022 first just to get my guy back that I know I can get a quarterback. I got a good team. It's not that crazy. It's short-sighted, but Bill's – who's to say that he's not in a short-sighted position right now?
Yeah, which would be an argument for why he would do something to draft a quarterback too. But I also think they've been trying to trade Stephon Gilmore. They were trying to trade Stephon Gilmore at the trade deadline. Couldn't do it. Or they were hoping to, and then he got hurt.
Yeah, then he got hurt. Yeah.
So right now, could they get a first-round pick for Stephon Gilmore?
No. Not
okay. So if you're trading Stephon Gilmore for Jimmy Garoppolo, if you're him, would you rather?
Yeah, I mean, Stephon Gilmore in his prime, worth a first-round pick, even 2 years ago. Right now, quad injury, the money, he's not.
I'm saying if you're not going to keep him around, you'd rather trade him than your second-round pick for Jimmy.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
If I was ownership,
unless you could get a second for him, if you could get a second for him, and then you your other second for Jimmy and the second you got maybe is blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, Bill's about efficiency. Kill 2 trades with 1 call.
I'll tell you this. If Bill ever became available, it'd be Mike McCarthy's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Because I would fire him on the spot and hire old Bill. I can see Bill like just a 2-3 year run with the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah. I would put Walsh as I would say Walsh close second, even though he didn't win as many. Walsh affected the leagues for the next 30 years.
Yeah. Walsh's impact, great. But when you just look, Walsh did quit, retire.
Yeah.
Opted out. Bill opted out. Yeah. Roy Williams.
In the roids of Roy Williams, in the words of Roy Williams, opted out. So I'll tell you this. If the Niners get a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo, which they will not, but if they were to somehow do, what that would mean is that basically they only traded 1 first-round pick to move up to number 3. A first and a third.
Do you think, I'm going to end on this. If you were a betting man right now, does Bill Belichick coach another team in his career?
I mean, to me, if he does, it's like in 2022 or 2023.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be 2026. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the only scenario I could see it happening very fast is if this year's a disaster. Because Kraft's already spent a ton of money. He's not used to spending. Their quarterback situation, Bill is going to get blamed for it. And if they went like 6-11, I think we all think he's going to be good, and I do.
I do.
But there is a possibility that just some of these big money guys don't buy into the Bill Belichick weirdness.
Right.
They do quarterback situations.
It's time to get
disaster.
on with the Josh McDaniels
era. Let Josh do it. Bill, you go somewhere else. And then half the teams in the league attempt to hire Bill Belichick immediately. Would you say his market would be pretty strong?
Yeah, I mean, the only team
he might not even want to do it. There's not a guarantee, but if
maybe
he did,
he'd be like
would.
Kyle's DC. The only team that wouldn't want to do it is like a team that is run by its head coach. Everybody else would be interested.
Yeah, like the Bills, the Chiefs.
Ryan Pace would be like, "Oh, we finished second for Belichick." Okay. Ryan Pace wants to sit down with Bill.
I would imagine Sirianni might be on his way out.
Sirianni, you think Bill will go work for Howie?
I'd
say hell of a combo.
I'd say Howie might have to go to the other side of the building again. Maybe they're friends. It wouldn't shock me.
How about Bill just goes and coaches for Saban?
What if he just has a short run at like a college just to see if he could do it? Just like, I'm just kind of interested, see if I got this in the bag.
Take some like D3 team to the championship.
Yeah, like goes to like a Weber State, whatever the equivalent is in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Just I want to see if I got it.
Yeah.
UC Davis.
Bill
wins it all, walks out.
I'd miss him. I know that. I'll miss him.
No, he ain't leaving the league. He's a league guy.